Alrighty then. Back
in the
after
right
a week.
place.
So much
Back in the
happening.
place. Back
Oh
in the
Lord, so much
place.
happening. We take a few days off, man. Gentlemen, how we doing?
Yeah,
Hey,
man.
Angela.
Haven't seen you off for a long time.
What going on, Phil?
Everything is all right.
You're missing your place we was in last time, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, miss much.
Yeah.
I watch it
There you
on
go.
catch up.
Early. You watching the catcher? Everybody miss you. Everybody miss you, man. You know how it is.
Where's Philip? Where's Philip?
Philip?
Oh
Yeah.
my God!
Get a noise with it after a while, but
You say it there, look. Good afternoon, guys. Hi,
look.
Philip.
Hello.
Miss you,
Hello.
miss you last session. Oh my Lord, I don't know why. Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome to another episode of The Living Room. It's me, Andre, with my good friends Philip and Mark, as usual. And we're here, you're on the We Global platform. If that's where you're joining us here on Facebook, you could be joining us on YouTube. Don't know where you're joining us, you're on Carib Vision as well. We're over there on their Facebook page also. Thank you so much for joining us on this Sunday. As I said, this is We Global. If you haven't yet, like our page on Facebook, like us on YouTube, ring the bell so you get notifications of all of our content. Above all, hit share as well. Let's bring a lot of people into this conversation so we can have a good old Caribbean conversation. Welcome. Gentlemen, how are we doing? We take a week off and everything just start to happen.
Wow. Place
What a week.
crazy. What a week. Yeah.
Indeed,
All good here, man.
indeed.
All good this side. All good this side.
Ready for the
spent a
opening
lot of
here.
time
I know
today.
you ready for the opening tomorrow, the irreversible opening of London.
Irreversible.
UK, I should say.
He
Well,
actually says so.
that's the word, right? He always
says
says
so?
irreversible. Irreversible is the word.
Wow.
Once the open, you're not going back, right?
No, man.
That's
I
what
hear all
Morris
that.
says all the time.
We hear that. We heard that before.
Oh, yeah.
Last
Indeed.
September, maybe.
Perhaps.
So what do you
But
think that's
what
gonna look
he's
like?
saying. Hey,
What do
Valerie.
you think that's gonna look like for you, Southerners?
Yeah.
from
For you
London?
guys down south, the
Down south.
Londoners. Yeah.
Listen,
What is it gonna look like down there?
Hey, Bernadette, listen, the thing is don't worry about the South. Once the pubs open, every man break for himself after that in the UK. We all know that already.
That's how it
As
works.
long as the pubs open, anything can happen. Anything can happen. Hey, Fabian, that's just how it is. So we gotta wait and see what's gonna happen when the pubs open at midnight. I think down here, a pub close to me around the corner, because pubs can open and have served dining outside from midnight to night. So a pub is actually holding a 1 minute after midnight event tonight. So that's
People
gonna
can't
tell
wait.
you.
People can't wait.
Exactly. Hey, Juliet. so that's
down
gonna tell you what's gonna happen. It can be everybody breaking for themselves in the UK after that.
Well, I think it probably going to be quite similar up this side as well. To be fair, people are itching to get out their house. I know I am for sure, but I ain't sure you'll be turned up at the pub yet.
Yeah.
Not in this weather. Outdoors in this weather.
No, boy. You know it was snowing today.
Well, we had
Yeah.
snow today as well. Yeah,
You
we
had
had
snow
some
too?
today.
Yeah.
too.
Ridiculous,
and,
man.
And you know, if it's
Honestly.
snow in London, it's cold.
Cool.
So and if it's snow in April, you know something wrong completely. So that would tell you. So yeah, we had a bit of snow down here, man. I had my fingers freezing off as I was outside. doing
Can't
some
get a
stuff. I
break
was like,
at all,
"Oh,
at all, man. Can't get a break.
And the funny
Yeah.
thing is, we sound like real British people talking about the weather. But anyway, let me run with it.
Hey, Conley. Locked on from St. Vincent. We're going to get there soon.
Welcome, Conley.
Stay
It was
safe.
just last week. It was 22 degrees. Remember that? Mm-hmm. Sunny.
Yep.
22 degrees.
Jackets put away, hats put away, fleece gone,
Exactly.
and then suddenly just thrown
Next
into
day,
winter again.
-2.
Yeah.
And the thing is about it is catch you when you're outside. You leave home and it's fairly sunny. You go like, we just see you feeling good.
Yeah,
And then all of a sudden you're out. Yes, Heather, we know. Yes, in
right,
Canada,
all
I
right,
think
yeah.
it is, but
Yeah,
it's cold
real
over
cold.
here too. For we, give me that. Give me that.
You know,
Snow in Ashen, Barbados, Valerie. We
Oh,
saw
wow.
that. We saw that
Wow.
as
Wow.
well. But yeah, and also happening before we even get to think is that you saw Prince Philip passed.
yes,
Condolences.
yes.
Days, so condolences to the family and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, of
course.
he's passed on.
Big news
99
here in the
years
UK.
old, couple months
Wow.
before his 100th birthday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you almost made it, man. Yeah.
So, almost made it. You mean to 100?
100.
Oh, okay.
That's fine.
You're going down to represent. I mean, as you're in the south, you're going to represent the team at the
No. Hey, Beatrice.
I only asking.
Oh, and I'm happy for your question. Thank you for your question.
Good.
No.
You were also media trader there, Mark.
I've been trained by the
you know
wife
what I mean,
to
Phil?
answer these questions
Yeah,
related to the royal
Anyhow.
family, right? So I'm taking it very. I'm being. My training is coming out in how I take these questions.
Well done.
So
Well done.
You tried to
Well
trip
done.
me up there just now.
Man,
Wish
you
condolences.
said I
I've
know,
just
man,
said no.
I wasn't trying to trip on the body.
Just asking a question.
Let me show you a couple of top fans, man. While you catch your breath.
Yeah, go on.
So
go on.
just a couple, man. Can we shout out Didi Paris?
Didi. Paradua Straw. I don't know if she's there
the
already,
living room.
but Didi,
I don't know if
shout
she's
out.
in there, but you know, our latest top fan, and also one other, Lisa Dublin became one of our top fans for sharing our content from the living room. And you know, if she's listening
Lisa.
over there in Edmonton, in Canada, Lisa, good afternoon. I hope you're doing well.
Lisa?
Thank you so much, man.
Thank you so much, indeed.
So-
You know, we just like to have these Caribbean conversations, guys. You're gonna see some laughter and what's not, even as we deal with serious topics. So if you're here for the first time, as I said, like our page, be part of it. You know, be part of our content. You know, because you never know. We've had loads of people who went from being in the audience to
On
being
screen next week.
in front of the camera and being on screen. Per case in point, Karen Douglas, who's right there, being part of the audience, and eventually she was on screen as well. So that's how we do it.
Yeah, man. So
You
you're
were
still
gonna
on
say,
holiday?
Mark?
I was gonna ask
Me?
you if you're still on holiday. Yeah, man. you
One
know.
more day. I take Monday off. You know how it is.
Don't ever go
You
back
want
on a
the
Monday, boy.
blues.
Don't ever go
You're
back on a Monday.
So I off tomorrow, and then I going back here on Tuesday. So that's gonna be it. But
Tuesday's your Monday.
but the girls still off as well, so I can take some time to do some stuff with them as well, if possible. Depending on what's open and that kind of stuff as well.
Daddy's still cool, huh?
Yeah, you gotta be cool, man. Daddy cool. You know how it is.
You hear him, Phil.
Hey. Give him another year.
F that.
Another year? No, man. Well, true too. Teenagers and all in a minute.
Yeah,
so
man.
you know how that gonna go.
Yeah, man.
But what about you, Corbin? Don't get away. Happy anniversary, man.
Oh, yes.
Well, yeah, man. Thank you so much. You know,
How many
me and the
years
wife-
yesterday?
22.
22. She put up you for that long.
I see a lot of people. I see a lot of people on Facebook saying so. And to be honest, they should be ashamed of themselves. And that's just the
But
truth.
wait,
They should
though,
be ashamed of
let
themselves.
me freak out other people. No, that's 22 years married.
Man, listen, just hush now.
Give me the rest. give me how much before that? Give me the rest.
I started at the wedding.
Okay.
But why? They never wrong with.
I've been married for 22 years. I have a fabulous wife, you know, and I'm sure she's watching up there this evening. Good evening, honey.
sure
I hope
she
you're
is.
having a good evening.
I sat beside her at primary school. We were good friends. Yes. There she is. Well done to Lisa Didi. So there you go. As if by magic she appears on screen.
Look, you know, in the Caribbean, we just gotta take a while to suss out, you know, who we're gonna spend the rest of our life. I was going out with Sonia for 10 years before we got married. There's no secret about that, you know.
So
But you know,
32 years.
well, you know.
But all kind of people gonna be there like, well, he don't look like he 32 years.
Don't worry about
yet.
that. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that.
Don't write it. That's what he's hoping for. Do not write that in the comments, please.
But yeah, man, we had a quiet one actually. It was quite a quiet one yesterday. So yeah, thank
But
you
it's
so
funny,
much, man.
You know, no problem at all. But all these celebrations and stuff happening under COVID, you know. Oh, we gotta remember as well. Good friend of ours got married this weekend. Also, we were.
Oh yes,
on Zoom.
we were.
Yeah.
Yes,
So congrats
dressed in
to
our
Jamal.
finest.
Indeed, we were all dressed down to our finest. So
On Zoom?
congrats to Jamal and Menali. Was it
Leech. Yes.
Leech. Yes,
Family
Leech.
Leech.
Yes, they got married in Barbados under all COVID rules, and we were there on Zoom as well. So congrats there also. So loads of stuff happening over the last couple of days.
Yeah, man. Awesome. So listen,
Hey,
who have we
Russell.
got in the living room today, man?
Well, look, we said there's a lot happening when we were on leave for a couple of days, but the big thing that's happening right across, for us in the Caribbean is what's happening in St. Vincent and La Soufrière. I don't even know if I pronounced that right, because I was listening to BBC today and a French person pronounced it, and it sounded nothing like what I know really was.
Go on. Have a go.
I ain't even going to try.
Try it.
Have a go.
I'm gonna get one of our guests to probably tell us.
Okay.
But I know the West Indies, we call it the easy way, la Soufrière.
La
And that's
Soufrière.
that's what we calling it. But yeah, so after months and months of taking us up to the line, but nothing happening, it's finally erupted over the last few days, and it's causing havoc in St. Vincent, of course, and then definitely in Barbados, also where the ashfall is. So we're going to talk to some people who are on the ground and just get a good understanding of what's happening there, because I think it's something that right across the region, we want to know how our brothers and sisters and our cousins in St. Vincent are doing, and that's the conversation that we're going to have today. So today we're going to spend the next few minutes talking to folks who are on the ground there. So that's what we're going to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So we got Dexter Rose, we have Marla, Nanton James, and we have Donnie Collins, who are all three safe and sound in St. Vincent, but they can give us a real good update of what's happening and let us know how people are faring,
Yeah. Bring them in,
So
man.
good
Bring them in.
conversation. Oh, so before we even bring them in, so guys in the audience, again, do us a favor, hit share, get as many people around the Caribbean to come in on this conversation, give support to our brothers and sisters in St. Vincent, and guys who are in St. Vincent as well. Feel free to jump in the comments. We want to hear from you as well, how you guys are doing. We'll get as much of them up on the screen. There's another show always happening in the comments when we are online. So feel free to jump in the comments and just let us know how you're doing as well. So let's bring the guys in.
Awesome.
Brilliant.
Yep. Dexter in early.
He's in, knocking at the door. Donnie's in. Marla's in.
Good
So
evening.
we're in. How we doing?
As the rose among the thorns, I should
Hey.
say.
Oh.
Hey.
You ain't talking about Dexter, right?
Marla, you're married.
Greetings to everybody listening.
You're a married woman.
Hey.
What that mean, Dexter? I don't know.
I heard her saying she's a rose.
Boy, this is going to be an interesting conversation today.
Indeed. And we didn't say, I've been to St. Vincent a couple of times, and we windward from Barbados going down to St. Vincent.
I'm still trying to connect that, but
You're gonna leave that? Go on, Mark.
No, I was going to say this is going to be a fascinating conversation. But listen, welcome to the three of you. It's great to be able to invite you to the living room to give the region a perspective from people who are right in the eye of the storm and seeing what's happening and reflect that back to us so we can have a much deeper appreciation and understanding. Gentlemen, I'm going to start with the rose, if that's okay with you two.
The rose, not a rose. The rose.
I said the rose. I never said a rose. I said the rose.
The only rose.
The only rose. Marla, welcome. How are you?
Give us. Think it's him, eh? I've established. I'm very clear on that.
Thank
Lord
you,
have
guys.
mercy.
So it's not
Thank
next
you,
time.
guys.
Okay, all right.
Thank you guys so much.
No, you're welcome. Take it away. Just give us a little bit of a flavor of where you are and how you're doing and how your family are doing.
Yes, well, as you can see, I am smiling through the storm. I remain optimistic. There's so much to give thanks for at this moment, despite the circumstances. Of course, we continue to have episodes of tremor associated with multiple explosions. Okay. We had some rumbling last night. There was lightning. We've had small earthquakes, venting of ash. In fact, yesterday we had really heavy ash fall, and that lasted right into the night. There was loss of power for most of the night. On my side, the power was restored around 11 this morning. But like I said, in spite of all of that, we continue to give thanks because you know what? We have had no loss of life. Yeah, and that indeed is, something to give thanks for. So it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure for me to be here, and greetings to everybody.
Awesome.
Nice.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. Let's go to the troublemaker, Dexter.
Oh, that was Dexter.
Mr. Rose, welcome.
I think I should call my lawyer.
Aye, not yet. Too early for that.
My lawyer. Because I'm being
Welcome.
accused of being a troublemaker, and my dear departed mother would not accept that.
Wow.
Wow. Well,
Okay. Listen, my apologies. How are you, man?
I'm fine. I'm
no,
fine. I'm fine. I
that's
mean, the circumstances.
upfront or
In the circumstances, yesterday when we sort of touched base yesterday, I mentioned that we Caribbean people are people, we have a way of laughing even in the
Even when we're serious.
worst moments. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
The Caribbean man is a man who would come home and see his house on fire and begin to laugh and say, "Boy, watch this foolishness." Is my house burning down, sir?
Exactly.
St. Vincent isn't burning, but we are under some serious challenges. I experienced the volcanic eruption in 1979. I think I was about 21, 22 about there. My math is bad. I think it's about 22. And back then, we were very scared because it happened. We didn't have any warning. Because I do remember, and that was a criticism of the then administration, that there was no prior warning. It seems that people who live in what we now have called it the red zone woke up to tend to the animals and to go into the fields and that kind of thing, and saw the mountain was on fire, and then had to hit it running. I mean, and where they live is a lot of hills. It's no easy thing running to the city, trying to get to the city from there. This time is very different. As Professor Richard Robinson, who I'm proud to say I've known since '79 and before, because we grew up in basically the same neighborhood. As he said when he spoke, when the volcano began to heat up, he told the Prime Minister, I remember telling the Prime Minister, "Look, Prime Minister, I don't think you can dodge this one." And even then I was hoping, because I'd been through '79, I know what it does to the country economically, I know the economic impact. I know what it does to see people having to leave their homes and be evacuated and live in other places. And I remember feeling very guilty back then.
Okay.
Being in the city, at home, life continued pretty normal. We were going to movies still. We were going to cinema at night, as we call it. It was a pretty normal life. But you couldn't forget that those persons who were living in the schools, community centers, and that the banana industry was being decimated. And we know, it would bring hardships on the country. This time, we had a lot of warning. The volcano gave us ample time to be prepared. And you heard the National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, doing a lot of public service announcements and that kind of thing. They've been going out in the communities and speaking to the communities, trying to sensitize people. And they've been telling people, look, you should pack at least 3 days worth of provisions. But it's one thing to tell people that, and it's another thing for it to really happen, because I believe a lot of us in the back of our minds, we were hoping it really wouldn't happen.
It wouldn't happen.
Of course. Yeah.
You know it can happen. You know it happened before, but you still really want to believe. And I'm one of those. I was hoping, look, man, I mean, La Soufrière, the lady, is kind of jealous of COVID, and I'm making that kind of joke, you know, women are, Marlon, you know it is, you women, you get kind of crookedy when.
Listen, we don't want nobody suing. We don't want nobody suing the show. You said you can call your lawyer. I don't want nobody. I don't want nobody suing us.
Somebody let the disclaimer ticker go across the bottom there. So
that is not a global position.
The views expressed on this show are not necessarily those of the host.
What he meant to say was from his experience.
That's it.
Okay.
Or of the guests, I should say too.
All right.
Yeah, so I mean, if I can stop there, we continue talking, Give me a background on how I look at this.
We come back there, yeah. And Donnie, what about yourself? How are things for you? How's your family? How you been faring? What you been seeing on the ground?
Well, Marla basically covered that. I could basically say what Marla said. We're still in the midst of an explosion. It erupted. I heard rumblings just 10 minutes ago. And I'm in the very southern tip of the island. And I can hear rumbling. So it is still very, 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 very active, which means that we are still not yet out of the woods. I've been scouting social media, and I'm picking up that water is the issue. Shelter management is basically getting a pat on the back right now. The shelters are active. They're quite on the ground doing humanitarian. It's really beautiful to see that Vincentians have stepped up. Those who have beds, those who have hot meals, those who have all their clothing, they have decided to brave the ash. I'm going to road. I'm going to collect donations, and I'm going to volunteer. And quite a lot of our entertainers, our public figures are on the ground. They're out there. So they are out there and they're doing great work. So those who have contributed, those who have stepped out into what may very well be clear and present danger, because ash to drive through isn't a safe thing. We had a little bit of rainfall, and it is turning to sludge, and it is making life hard for drivers on the road, and they are braving that. They are going out there, they are delivering hot meals, they are delivering coffee, they are delivering sandwiches, they are delivering quite a lot of stuff that the folks need in the shelters. So right now, those who are at home may be experiencing a little discomfort because, hey, we need the water. I like to shower for at least 3 minutes. So we can't experience
You had to think
that.
about that one there.
Yeah. I wanted to say 15, but I don't. So the shelters who will not be experiencing just the minimal discomfort that we may be facing. They are facing a tremendous thing, having to leave their homes, we love our beds. We love this show is called The Living Room. Our prize possessions are our flat screen TVs, our computers, and our internet. They are there without all that. And there are some humans among us who are going beyond, and they are doing some beautiful things right now.
Yeah. No, it is amazing to see. I mean, I saw Prime Minister Gonzalez touring some of the shelters and what's not as well, and making some on the spot decisions also regarding people who, people that might have been paralyzed, they can't move around as much, and he made some executive decisions to say, no, you shouldn't be here. You need to be in one of the hotels, someplace where you're a bit more comfortable. So it's good to see some of that on the spot management and decision making happening right then and there as well.
Yep, Andre, and we do need
I'm
that.
I'm glad you saw that. Because
Sorry, Danny. Yes, I was saying that we do need that type of decision making because based on the presentation this morning, there was actually an update, a report, and there's actually no indication that the eruption is coming to an end anytime soon. We've heard that it will settle down. It may give us a break, but it will start up again. Very similar to the one in 1902 versus 1979. Yeah. So we have to do the best we could, but we take comfort in knowing, especially for us, Dexter, Danny, and I, that there is still safety in the south, which is where we live.
Yeah.
And which is where persons have been evacuated.
And that's where the shelters are set up there as well.
Yes.
So in terms of having the shelters set up.
All right. I just wanted to add in.
Go on, Donnie.
Oh, go ahead, Donnie.
I just wanted to add in that what the Prime Minister is doing, what the Prime Minister was doing, is basically cementing what was actually policy. He did indicate that not everyone will be left in a shelter. Those who are sick and need immediate attention, they will be placed in a different sort of accommodation. What may have been the problem is that people are entering the shelters at different intervals. So at day one, we may find 10 people in a shelter. And by the time we make the assessment, that change is within perhaps minutes or hours.
Minutes. Yeah.
So that may be an ongoing process, and that may compound the issue in a big way. Because just today, I read on the page of Shafia London. Those in Barbados may know her name. She did beautiful things over there, but she is Vincent, and she's ours. She actually did a beautiful thing. She did a beautiful thing. There was a shut-in individual who couldn't walk, who had issues, and perhaps I'm not going to be the bad guy here. They didn't make it in the very first evacuation process. So I don't know if there was a level of neglect or abandonment. That person couldn't evacuate themselves. That person couldn't get on a bus. That person couldn't get out of the house. And it took humanitarian effort. It took effort beyond reason to get that person out. And it shows the level of planning and the lessons that we will have to learn from all what is happening now. How do we handle people who are shut in? How do we handle the elderly? We cannot assume that family members are going to remember them. Friends and family and neighbors are going to remember them. We will have to perhaps begin to plan even further that we put something else in place to capture those. So one, they don't end up in the shelter and have this layover of perhaps a day or a few hours before they get the help and what they need. So that is one of the lessons that we have to write down.
Okay. No, with you there. Phil, you were going to say?
It was quite similar to what Donnie was talking about. There was kind of wondering about the whole preparation and drills and so on. I did see a few videos of drills before the explosion being done. So it does look as though loads of lessons have been learned since 1979, of course. But also, I know you guys are right down in the south, but what has the process of preparation been like? What was the mood in St. Vincent as you knew this was imminent and there was kind of preparation in place? What sort of activities were going on?
Well, I don't know if you know it. The National Emergency Management Organization, you heard them all the time. You've been hearing the PSAs on radio and stuff. You know, you couldn't miss it. You really couldn't miss it, you know? And like you said, they've been doing drills. But we in the South, sometimes we take a lot of things for granted. And what is important is that people always knew that this can happen. You heard announcements all the time telling people where shelters are and which communities would go to what shelters, right? So if I may jump to this, I mean, I don't avoid controversy. Since the spring, you heard some people criticizing the efforts, you know? They could have done better, you know? They could evacuate before. But we had our intention volcanologist, Professor Richard Robinson, saying, and he was given a prediction that, I mean, he needs a pay rise. It's almost to the hour. Yeah,
absolutely fantastic.
He's been brilliant. Yeah,
absolutely.
Seriously,
yes,
he's been fantastic.
Now Richie, Professor Robinson, Richie, I know him for a long time, so I mean, he's always been like that. What is great about him is the way
Can I disagree with you? I mean,
somebody else not afraid of controversy.
That's fine.
Can I disagree with you?
Of course.
Can I disagree with you? I mean, you said that he predicted it down to the minute and everything like that. But because I'm in the media, I am on radio every morning, and I'm the one who's punching that button to put in these guys when they have in their press conferences. This guy said this very same thing 2 months ago, and we did not listen. He said this volcano can erupt at any time.
Yes.
It's a matter of days, a matter of weeks. He said it 2 months ago. Perhaps coming on to the end, we were all paying more attention, but he said the very same thing 2 months ago. Now, if I was living in the red zone And he said this thing could erupt in a matter of minutes or hours or days. Where are you doing there still? Huh? What am I doing there still? So yes, I would agree with my school teacher. For the first time in my life, I am interrupting him. But
It's not the first time.
yeah, I couldn't let that.
No, but I mean that's an
interesting.
interesting point, Donnie, because
But I couldn't
even yesterday I've been noticing a few people still in the red zone, and today I saw Gonzalez telling people, get out. Why are you still there? So even now, there's still people in the red zone refusing to leave.
Sentiment.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw Bala, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that I think that we have scored highly when it comes to public education. Not only the efforts of NEMO, but the local journalists, news agencies, the UE research team on the ground. I mean, Dr. Richardson has come in for a lot of commendation. The daily reports, his calm presentation has given us so much, reassurance, his simple language, meaningful analogies. He doesn't, kill us with the jargons of Volcano or anything like that. It's really simple, meaningful analogies that the layman could understand. So anybody who right now is in the red zone chooses to be at their own risk. It's not that they don't have the information, and they're putting the other people's lives at risk too, which really isn't fair. Yeah.
No.
I heard the Prime Minister. Yeah, just this morning I heard the Prime Minister repeating that way, where he said that he's telling a story about having to rescue some persons who should have been out long before then.
Yeah.
And you go back and you go to the area to rescue, and you get 18 persons coming out. And then after that, now you get another call for rescue, and you've got to go back and get 72 others. Now this is days after the evacuation order had been given. I was looking at a little report from my good journalist colleague Kenton Chance, interviewing a guy who said, "Man, I just here drinking a rum and smoking my weed." Now the guy's covered in ash. Covered in ash. That's during the eruptions. Kenton, as a journalist, as we journalists do this mad things, we go into harm's way, so we're going to bring a story. So Kenton is interviewing him. So why are you here? Are you moving? He's not moving. And then these persons like this, because that's why sometimes I say, our democracy is very often abused. And I'm going to say something here that might be controversial. I worked in Cuba for a while. Cuba is known worldwide in the Caribbean as a person where disaster management, disaster planning is executed to a T. When you're in Cuba, if there's a hurricane coming, a storm coming, you don't have the option of whether you feel like leaving or no. This is not optional.
No.
Because what is going to happen, you decide to stay, and then the hurricane comes and you're in danger, and then you're calling for rescue. Who's supposed to rescue you? Somebody's supposed to leave the comfort of their home after everything has been put in place to come and try to get you out.
Yeah.
So it is selfish for such persons to be staying in those zones. Now I understand, on the other hand, that there are persons who, based on the experience in 1979, where they evacuated, and thieves, there's some issues. Times like these bring out the best and the worst in us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very true.
So while you have a lot of persons volunteering and bending over backwards, women leaving their homes to go and provide, you go and cook in shelters, you have men who their business is to this is their business. This is their time to, so when people are running out, they're running in.
They're running in.
To
take
break
advantage.
into homes, to get animals and that kind of thing.
Okay.
This time we are a little more organized, but I don't think, frankly, we've reached the stage yet where we would have had, which I probably would love to see, where the law would have ways of monitoring who is going into communities, and what you're going for. Because I guess in the old chaos in the beginning, everybody's driving up and down, and you're not going to have checkpoints to ask where you're going, that kind of thing. But
do you think that there's, generally speaking, there's a difference between a north-south divide in terms of the appetite for risk when it comes to things like this on St. Vincent, or people don't generally look at it that way?
No, well, Donnie from up that way. Donnie, you tell me. Donnie's from he used to be. He abandoned this neighborhood. These guys do want to get successful. They leave the homes.
Actually, no.
Donnie putting you in it, man.
That's
not the conversation. So I'm not going to be drawn out by you.
Don't get drawn into that.
I'm not going to be drawn into that with you. No.
Maybe your question, Mark.
Because I was born there, I was actually.
Go ahead, Donnie.
I was born in Byra, grew up in Georgetown, so I know the area well.
Mm-hmm.
What I do understand is that I have to agree with Uncle Dexter on one thing. Folks remember, you see, and we're forgetting that there was an explosion also in 71. I wasn't born yet, but I experienced 70. So we cannot forget 71. And because 71 is on the radar, folks in that area may begin to think, man, this is just a repeat of 71. Because 71 was just one big bang. And folks who said, had I not gone to, I could have just tried this out. And yes, the looting, yes, the man, thief man had their day.
Thief man.
But this time, the police were better prepared. And thief man thing. The police were better prepared this time because the reports are out there. They are picking up vehicles. They are picking up people climbing out of windows. They are people who don't belong in the area. So they are on the ball. And I have to give a round of applause to the Commissioner of Police and his team. They have managed this thing really, really well. So when Thief Man really swear that this would have been a repeat of 71, 79, where people will scare and leave everything behind, this wasn't the case this time around. Sadly, though, our mentality did not move beyond 79, where it comes to the volcano. There are still a lot of people who believed, I survived 79, I didn't move.
I stand here.
So I mean, I'll move. I'm not going anywhere. And there's a generation of daredevils now, which brings me to address Mark's issue, where our younger generation didn't get burned. The generation that's today, they didn't experience ash. They didn't have to be uprooted from their homes. So I listen to a lot of teenagers say, I want to experience this.
Wow.
Once in my lifetime, I get to see this. I keep hearing you guys talking about how awesome that was and how interesting that was. I want to see this. So now we are braving the ashes. I laugh now because I see snowman made from. We are creative. We are that good.
Wow.
Yeah, I saw a snowman made from ash.
Wow.
The thing is though, because this generation did not live the danger, they are putting themselves at risk. They are ignoring all the warnings about inhaling ash and having ash in your skin and getting into your mouth and your eyes.
Lungs and stuff.
And they are just basically experiencing this thing. So I can tell you now, I saw a prophet making predictions. I can predict right now, that the moment Soufrière, and I don't know the Frenchman pronouncing it, I know Soufrière.
I know Soufrière too.
Stop rumbling. We are going to have a problem with sightseers.
La Soufrière.
We're going to have a problem with people who want to sightsee. They want to go and see. They want to gather some ash, and they want to experience as close as they possibly can to get to the volcano. We already have a guy going up there, ignoring all the warnings from Nemo. He can suffocate the use of tools, and he went go live. He went live for his birthday. So we will have a lot more of those if we put a handle on it. Perhaps declare a disaster area or a state of emergency or some sort.
Okay.
Mark, I just thought it was worthwhile clarifying the picture you shared there, Mark. That young guy is actually a volunteer from the UE Seismic Research Institute. Just to clarify.
Before Mala comes, I just want a brief mention on the point Donnie made there. Now, this young man who's been going to the volcano, he's made himself a sort of a folk hero.
Social media hero, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm driving to work just the day before the same day with the evacuation was given. I'm going to work, and people on the radio calling in and saying he should be given a job. He should be on it. Now this is about being blatantly being reckless, and people think he's doing an amazing thing.
Wow!
But this era of voyeurism, and it's not enough that Professor Richard Robinson is telling us that the volcano could erupt any moment. No, he's going up and he's proving them that this is what they want to show you. So he's shooting images. This is what they want to show you, as though like the UE seismic unit is hiding something from Vincentians. You're building this sort of distrust of official, because there's a lot of it. You build this distrust of official word. I mean, if the seismic unit can't advise us on volcanoes, who can? Mal, sorry.
No, I am just here thinking, what are these guys really made of? Because I live in the South, in the comfort of the South, and at night I'm sleeping with one eye shut and the other one open. So, and I'm in the South. So how did they actually do this? Being in the high risk and very high risk zones. This is crazy.
Let's remind people what it looks like. Just to give folks a little bit of a view.
But this is before, eh?
Yeah.
Well,
it was getting ready
according
there,
to the doctor, that's all.
Yes, I think this is that's completely blown off.
Yeah. Blown off. That's it.
That's
the dome that's blown off. Absolutely.
Yeah, in the early days when it was oozing out. Yeah. According to the doctor, that is gone.
Interesting. But Dr. Robinson has been making some really interesting observations, as you said. His insights has really been pretty spot on. And I wonder how you feel he has resonated with the population across the whole of the nation, because clearly it sounds as though some people feel as though he's done a fantastic job, but then there are others in another camp who feel as though perhaps we should have had more information earlier. What's the overall view of his role in the job that he's done so far?
No, I don't think I don't think anybody would question the information he's been bringing to us or the effectiveness of the information he's been given to us. But people just don't care about officialdom. There's some people, because we're accustomed to Facebook and we want to live stream everything. And some people think that people want to be live streamed, so he shouldn't be in the observatory giving us the information. He should be standing on the volcano. We see it in CNN. But this is not a hurricane; it's a volcano.
Volcano.
But I don't think that anybody who would question his authority and and the veracity of the information he's given us. I don't think you'd meet anybody who would question that.
That's good.
Because I think one of the things that I thought was really good about him is just how calm he was every time. He wasn't trying to sensationalize anything. Sorry, Donnie. He wasn't trying to sensationalize anything, albeit it's a volcano. It's easy to get, we're going to have an explosion. You're going to see loads of lava and it's going to be going up to the sky. He was very calm and measured in everything he said. Just giving the information, not sensationalizing. And, as we said earlier as well, he's been pretty much on point. It's whether or not people, I think that's you hit it on the head, people wanted to see something else other than just hear what they might consider just the information. People say, there's more. Let's go out there and get more, kind of thing. You're saying, Donnie?
Donnie is stuck.
He's on a bit of a delay.
I was basically saying that the only way Doctor, I don't know why. The only reason, the only thing I thought that Dr. Robertson did not deliver in the eyes of the public is the date that the volcano was going to erupt. You see, we had two prophets who said the dates, right? There was a lady who came on and said it is going to be on this day. Another guy said that day. We are waiting for the officials to tell us the day. In fact, if you think I'm joking, I see everybody smiling. A journalist asked the doctor, "Doctor, could you tell us?" They were radio announcers, so actually saying, "Well, what are we experts for? They need to be able to prepare us better and tell us." And they failed to recognize one major important thing. I didn't experience 71. I was born in 75. I experienced 79 as a little boy. And I remember as a little boy, there was a truck driving around with a loudspeaker saying, "Pack your bags and run." That was the only warning. That was the only bulletin. No one told us what shelter we were going to. No one told us what collection point to go to. No one told us what to carry with us. No one said anything.
Hold on. Donnie, hold.
But this time around, we had months of preparation.
Uncle coming in.
Donnie,
Go ahead, Dexter.
Donnie, that truck you're talking about, you're too small to remember. That truck you're talking was after the volcano had erupted.
I was going to say, it was after the eruption.
Remember?
Yes.
Look at the size of me.
Right.
I'm 6 foot tall. I ain't too small to remember.
I was going to say, that was after, isn't it?
Just to prove how this is on my memory. How deep this is etched in my memory. When the ash started to fall, I just had to see it, and I was beginning to smell it. And no one else in the house was smelling sulfur, because there was no sulfur. There was no sulfur to smell. But guess what? The very things that were happening in 79, it was so etched that my psyche just replayed it. So yes, I remember the color of the truck. Yes, I remember the size of the truck. Yes, I remember the driver.
But you born big anyhow.
Yes, I remember.
He's born
I was
big.
10 pounds.
No, but that was the difference. Because a matter of fact, one of the criticisms of the Right's Honorable Robert Milton Cato back then was that after the fact he was telling people, stay calm and be calm, and it was a standing joke among people, right? Not like I repeat, not this time. You had the volcano gave a lot of warning. And the volcanologists came and they were giving us updates all the time. And you could have gone online also. You could have followed. So there was no ifs, buts, or maybe. A matter of fact, if something you could criticize the good Professor Richard Robertson for, that he's telling too much truth. He watch you and tell you this. Look, you can't dodge a bullet this time. That's coming. In the first press conference on the volcano, he said, "Prime Minister, you can't dodge a bullet."
No. He didn't give the date. He was supposed to give the date.
And the time.
He was supposed to give the date. That's the only thing he got wrong. He got everything else right.
In a light manner. Persons, no, it's interesting. Persons, and a lot of people can be superstitious. Now, this volcano erupted several days away from the date by coincidence. It erupted in 1979, the 13th of April, the Good Friday. I remember it very clearly. I remember where I was when I realized I was seeing that thing which is on the screen. I happened to be in my porch, relaxing early morning. My mother was going to church, and I looked up and I said, "Mom, that's a beautiful cloud up there." And she just looked at me and said, "That's the volcano." But even as we were having this conversation, and many persons have had that same conversation, there were already persons hours before running away from Chateaubriand in the red zone, people who live just at the base of the volcano, because there was absolutely no warning for anybody. Now, if we had all paid attention, and some of us realized afterwards, days before that date, birds had disappeared, and it's only after
Animals
we
always
realize,
know, isn't it?
Right.
they know. They see, but we human beings are too
the mosquito was
intelligent.
there too.
Go ahead.
And you mentioned as well there just now coming out from
The
Chateau.
sad reality is though,
sorry, go ahead.
the reality is we had a lot of tree fall and the loss of some forest and vegetation. I think it was 2013. So a lot of habitats were uprooted. We lost a lot of our vegetation in that area. So perhaps that's disrupted the bird life more there. So maybe one of those signals were missing, because when birds get adopted from one, they generally won't return in a hurry.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And one of the things as well regarding the evacuation, we saw people leaving from Chateau de Bear and going onto the ferries and boats and what's not. How has that been? You know, the folks who are on cruise liners, where are they? Are they off sea, or are they just transported down south? How is that going? Any news at all about that?
Marlo, what do you know?
Well, I know that from Chateau de Bear in the Red
Those who were transported by sea.
Go ahead, Donnie. Go ahead. Go ahead, Donnie.
There's a bit of a delay there.
Those who were transported by sea, they landed in Kingstown. I saw videos of them landed in Kingstown. Those who were transported by sea from the Leeward coast, they landed in Kingstown, and they were taken by bus to various shelters. So I saw the process being played out. So yeah, they have been distributed in Kingstown zones.
But I thought you were asking about the cruise ships, and because I somebody did a post which kind of fooled a lot of persons. One of the cruise ships left here and docked in St. Lucia, and I got the impression from the post the person made from St. Lucia that it had been the first set of evacuees from St. Vincent to landing in St. Lucia. But I understand that what it really was a group of farm workers who were supposed to join a flight in St. Lucia, who were just being given a ride from here so they can pick up the flight. But Canada. I don't know if to Canada. But I don't know if any of the Mal, I don't know if you know, I don't know if any cruise ships have really taken on any Vincentians on board yet who evacuating. I have no information on that.
I really don't have the information, but my belief is that the cruise ships were standing by in the event that we needed to, if persons needed to be evacuated, they were there. But I do not think that they have actually evacuated persons from St. Vincent to other islands and so on.
Okay. What about the smaller islands? Have they evacuated people to like Bequia and so on?
No. The evacuation has been from the red and orange zones, which are St. Vincent is like, okay, you have the map there. I was going to describe it as a lady with a big butt, and from her head top.
I see it now. I didn't see it before.
Never forget that map again.
I have never heard that nor seen it.
Okay.
That's how I remembered how to draw St. Vincent as a child. So from the crown of her head to just below her breast, those persons actually live in the red zone, right? So it's persons from the red zone, the very high risk zone, and the orange zone, the high risk. They are they have been evacuated down south, right, to the yellow and green zones. We haven't had evacuation to the Grenadines. I'm thinking that the small islands you're referring to are the Grenadine Islands. Yes.
So look, we've touched on the point a couple of times about Facebook and social media. What kind of impact do you think that is having in terms of the response, negative or positive?
On the response, what? The response to the
people's overall response to the evacuation.
No, but I think the social media has helped.
Mm-hmm.
Social media has helped because I mean, the rapidity with which you can spread information, get information onto people. A matter of fact, I think I get the impression that in the whole process, the few who like to be Monday morning quarterbackers, you know, have been drowned out by the sheer weight of what is happening. Because there's a I think that there's a national move towards assisting towards let's get this done, you know, and people are communicating. People are using WhatsApp. I mean, what your WhatsApp is good. If you notice, I've been on my phone every now and then here. People are calling me. There's all kinds of things. And one good friend has told me sorry because she sent me a message and I sent her a reminder of this living room, you know. But it has been. I think we have used the social media properly, and in this new world, this is how it must be, you know. And one good thing, it has put St. Vincent on the map. Because St. Vincent, because we have, I always tell people, because we have been so peaceful, always, we never really had anything out of the view. I mean, Grenada in 1979, you know, they had the revolution, you know.
Oops, he's gone there for a bit. No, that's okay. But yeah, social media has been very important. I mean, not just for the intentions, I think, but when I see the support and the comments from all across the Caribbean as well, you wonder, wow, it's amazing to have social media. This is one of the times to me when social media is working as it should. You know, during this time, because me here in the UK have been able to connect so much with people in St. Vincent and have an understanding of what's going on the ground and appreciation for what's happening.
I think generally we have had a few cases of fake news and so on, but generally Vincentians have been using social media positively, and it has helped to really, you know, empower us all to act sensibly before the actual explosive eruption began. And even now, you know, it has been amazing personally to see how friends have reached out to me from all across the globe, you know, to find out how I'm doing, how my family is doing, to offer support and encouragement. And that is really awesome, because when we think of the journey since December 2020, when the volcano started to erupt effusively, to just about, a couple of days ago, the emotional and psychological roller coaster ride that Vincentians have had to go through is just, it's just something else. You know, the levels of fear, when you think about fear of the unknown, persons living so close to the volcano, they see the gas and the steam, you know, they smell the sense from the formation of the new dome and so on. They hear magma rising. Actually, a couple minutes before they started this program, I heard the rumbling, you know. So there is a lot of fear. There's loss of concern for loss of life as well, you know, property, especially those people who live in the north. Agriculture is very important for them. Their livestock, their animals, and so on, you know. In fact, I've heard stories of persons refusing to move from those areas for concern about their property and their animals and things like that. You know, there's just a mixture of emotions right now. There's anger. Persons are questioning why doesn't this thing just erupt and leave us alone so that we could continue with our lives? You know, so I'm happy that persons have actually used social media so positively to encourage and support us, because we need it at this time.
And what about you, Donnie, working in the media? What has your observations been in terms of the use of social media?
Well, look at us now. We are using social media in such a positive way. This is just one powerful means that we have done really, really well with social media. I saw earlier today that an individual who couldn't find a brother took to social media, and within hours, the brother was located. My father took about 6 days to find us in the shelter, having to go from shelter to shelter to shelter to shelter. So social media really, really helps when it comes to locating your loved ones who perhaps didn't pay attention to where their shelter was designated, so they end up somewhere else. Or just because of the chaos that
The chaos
happened
at the time.
after the first wave of evacuation, they went wherever they can. And they helped in order to locate them. Another positive is that many people evacuated but didn't go to shelters. They go to private homes. And the government needed to make sure that they find those and they can put those in, because it's going to be a strain on the family. So the government wants to assist. Social media was where the information went out and a lot of people responded. We are definitely in the social media age. There are people who will quickly know what is happening from England or the United States, wherever, before even me who lives here.
It's true.
Because of social media.
It's very true.
Very true.
It helps to spread the information. I work on radio. I'm a program manager for a radio station, and I must admit that we have more views when we go live and when we broadcast on the internet than people who actually listen to the radio anymore. So that's the new frontier. That's where the information is disseminated. The Prime Minister's Facebook page is now seen as an official tool. Nemo's Facebook page is an official tool. The Ministry of Health Facebook page is their official platform. So social media is definitely where people look for their information. When we see those guys go up there and take pictures, although we chastise them and say, "Oh, you should really stay out of the danger zones," we are quite happy that they're showing us what is happening up there. We are secretly saying, I mean, rather you than me, but we are glad that they're doing it.
No, very true. You mentioned, you touched on
social
something there
media
just
has
now,
created-
Donny. You touch on leadership there just now, and there's an old saying, "Come off the hour, come off the man." How do people view how Gonzalez is handling the current situation?
If I answer that,
I have a
I'll
view,
be
but
beaten
I don't know
politically.
how people
So,
on the ground.
can I pass?
It's gonna pass.
You pass.
That's a good
I'll
response,
pass
Danny.
that. I'll pass
I
that.
think too.
May I play dominoes in the living room?
This is a straight question. You're in the living
Okay,
room,
okay.
We going with straight
I've
questions.
never been known. I've never been known to run from.
I pass.
I've never been known to run, but I put that up there so that people will know the statements that are about to be issued may be politically tinged, because sadly the way we see leadership now is from whatever political lens we're
It's
looking.
through a lens of politics.
There are some who are saying, "Thank God that," right? There are those who are saying, "Thank God Dr. Gonzalez is at the helm," because he's a tried and tested campaigner. He knows how to handle disasters. He knows how to mobilize resources. He knows how to call on the international media and the international heads of governments and such. He knows how to lobby. He knows how to get things done. So there are those who are saying, "Thank God for him that he's there." But there are those who are saying, like I read on a post today, that the level of mobilization that went into the campaign last election, they needed to see that happen this time around. I'm neither here nor there with that. But that's just sentiments that are on the ground. There are those who are saying the amount of money that were released during elections and campaigning, they would like to see some of that money being, thrown around right now. But I counter that by hearing the Prime Minister said in a press conference recently that he is asking the heads of departments not to pinch, not to be penny pinchers, not to hold back, but really address the needs of the people. So those are two sentiments that are coming out from both sides of the divide. But all in all, people are generally recognizing that we did better than 79. We are responding better than 79. Unless we decide to pull the full brunt of the law on those who decide to move, other than the wardrobe change, all things. Anyways, so other than that, we have done better, and leadership will definitely get the kudos in this one.
Okay.
I know Dexter Rose didn't change his shirt.
The man for the wardrobe change. What tells us it's probably halftime.
I think we have to have a break for wardrobe change.
I established very early that I don't like men. You see, you notice that?
It's okay. Your views change, and that's all right.
Oh gosh.
No, I mean, I from what I see on social media and the way how he's handled it, I think sometimes for certain situations it's good to have leaders need certain personalities. And I think from what I see, the personality of Gonzalo, someone who likes to rub shoulders and very empathetic and talk to people and meet people where they're at. I think that's a good quality to have during this time.
For this sort of scenario.
Not a leader, not just necessarily a manager, so to speak. And he really has come across as a leader the way how I've seen him in the different shelters, speaking to people out there with the ash all over his shoulders. One can argue from a health perspective if he was right to do that, but he's out there with people because he recognized not everybody has the ability to stay sheltered. They've got to move through the ash, and he was moving through with them. So I thought,
well, let's watch it. Let's watch him in action for a moment. Let's watch him in action for a minute.
Of the 13 million cubic meters of material which had formed the dome, approximately, the volume, which has been blown away, and new material is also coming up from in the volcano, and fortunately a lot of the material has gone to the sea, but a lot is here, and a lot. I was just talking to Mia Mapley, PM of Barbados, and a lot has reached Barbados. And we don't know how long this spewing is going to take place. The seismologists don't know, in fact, what the work they're doing. They're collecting samples, and through their testing, they're going to be able to give us some indication as to what do they think. Of course, it's not a precise science when you're doing these prognoses. This cleaning up is going to be massive, as you can see already. This is not. Remember this. The weight of this and the nature of this. Mashing up houses already, crashing the roofs, crashing the windows and doors. They're getting inside of the houses. It's a very serious problem. And the cleaning up of this alone is going to be massive.
Wow.
and he's right. It's good to see him looking forward because the cleanup process is going to be something else.
Well, that's Dr. Gonzalez for you. He's a man who is always in your face. If one can fault him for anything, is that he's always too present. And so you hear people say, like, I tired hear he talk. But he's a leader. And if it's any criticism one can offer, sometimes you need to hear the rest of his team along with him. But you can't fault a leader for leading. You really can't fault a leader for leading.
Yeah, but you're right though. He needs to bring along the others as well.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes. And I consider him a friend, and I've told him that, but he knows he's a man. He doesn't rest. He doesn't rest. And you see him on TV, and you see him out there. And you look at the man. He's not my age. He's not Donnie's age, and you can see he's tired, but he keeps going. He has an amazing capacity. The man I've known him for a long time. He has an amazing capacity for work. Some people hate it, but you got to admire it. And I mean, in a situation like this, he's a steady head. You know, he can lead you along. He knows what he wants to do. He gets there and he's just untiring. Untiring.
And of course, this is happening not just in a vacuum. This is happening during a pandemic.
Yep.
And one of the things that I've noticed and I've been observing in St. Vincent, I mean, just a few days prior to the explosive eruption, he was trying to get people to take the vaccine, and he did have a message for them that if you don't take it and it's going to spoil, I'm going to have to give it away. You know, so one wonders. Obviously, this is going to disrupt that process now, but how do you think you're going to get past that? How do you think you're going to get people vaccinated during this time? Because you can't just deal with just the eruption. He's got to now still deal with the pandemic.
It's been a controversial issue because even when they issue the vaccines, we've had a lot of persons who are suspicious of the vaccine. It's not just St. Vincent; it's all over the world, right? And there were persons who criticized, and just before the volcano finally erupted, he was at the stage where he was, he's
going again. I can finish that though, because he was at the stage where he was upset. He was scolding St. Vincentians. Let's be honest. I saw a few interviews with him, and he was getting pretty annoyed at that point now of saying, "Guys, what are we doing?
I have to give it away.
Take this thing,
Am I still with you?
or I'm gonna have to give it away."
You're back.
You just got cut off there when you were in full flight there, Dexter.
Yes, well, I mean, we got some excellent providers here who sometimes just don't provide, but I mean,
Carry on, man. Carry on.
because I paid my bills, you know what I mean? Yeah,
We never doubted it.
So
We weren't questioning that, you know. We weren't questioning that.
Do we take commercial breaks?
I know Donnie Collins. I know Donnie Collins.
You know that's one of my pet peeves. So don't start me,
I was at the
please.
point saying,
Go ahead, Dexter.
you better behave yourself. Anyway, I was at the point saying that the Prime Minister found himself in a head-on clash with the unions because he's pro-vaccinations. Now, I understand the Prime Minister's, it's not heavy as the head that wears the crown. And he is in a situation where we're facing a pandemic, and we were expecting an eruption. No, it's not easy to be in sitting and reluctance. We got 40,000 vaccines from India, government of India, free, because if it had to wait on the COVAX facility, you guys know what is happening worldwide. There's there's a whole there's what you call vaccine nationalism, and that's a whole other topic we can discuss, right? So we got 40,000, and our country is aiming at vaccinating at least 70,000 persons. And there's a lot of reluctance to take the vaccine. But part of the reluctance also, sadly, in St. Vincent, is that some persons have not in their minds settled the results of what happened last November. A heavily contested election in which the opposition party got the majority numerically of the vote.
Yeah, he's going again. He's got a bad connection.
Yeah. Issue there with the service.
Dexter's views are getting too heated.
Yeah. Oh, you think he's being censored? You think
somebody's watching? Somebody's watching.
It's not us. We allow him to say what he wants to say. We allow him to say what he has to say.
One, and then if I could soften the topic a little bit there. I don't know if any of you guys. Oh, he's back.
Dexter's back.
You guys,
It's not us, Dexter.
you guys trying to cut me off?
No, definitely
not us at all.
Somebody's watching. Somebody on your side is watching, man.
Marlo, that's why I said I don't like Bajans, eh? They're cutting me off.
It ain't us. It ain't us at all. We want you to talk. No, but I think I understand what you're saying. He's got to balance managing the pandemic as well as the eruption.
I was making this point.
See, every time you try to make the point, something happening.
Go ahead. What you were going to say,
the eruption had
Well, there you go.
It's not easy.
All right.
He's gone again. I'll talk to him offline. Go ahead.
He's gone again.
Yeah. I was going to ask about very young children. I don't know if any of you guys have really young children and how are they experiencing it? What are their... I know Marley, you said you're still sleeping with one eye open. Yes. I can imagine the sound of even distant rumbling could be quite unsettling.
Yeah.
How are very young children kind of being communicated with about this, and how are they? What sort of feelings are they expressing?
Well, first of all, I don't have young children, but I can certainly speak of my experience with dealing with children. I work in education. Many of them in the shelters right now, of course, they will be confused in terms of their emotions. Yeah, you know, some would be feeling sad, some would be feeling confused and so on. And it's important for persons in the shelter to understand how to deal with these children. You know, they have to be able to create environments that are comfortable so that they can speak to them in a way that they can understand, first and foremost. They have to give them the opportunity to express themselves, express their feelings as to what has actually taken place and what the future would actually look like. So I know that right now the Ministry of Education has an important stake in the management of the emergency because many of our schools are used as shelters in the first place. In fact, all of the schools in the yellow and green zones are being used as shelters. Okay. Our principals and the teachers are actually working in the shelters. So I know that the children in the shelters would be in a good place in terms of having personnel who know how to deal with them. Counselors, in fact, are also in the shelters. You know, so I believe that the children are in a decent place in terms of, you know, actually coping with the situation in the shelters.
Wow,
that's good. That's good to hear because I can imagine. You know, Donnie was talking about his memories from 1979 as well. Of course, these kids are going to be taking memories on with them into their adulthood.
Yeah, Donnie, you have kids?
I'm worried that they may not.
You're worried that they may not.
I'm worried
what
that
do you mean
they may
by that?
not because because we live in the green zone. So they're indoors. They have their internet. We only use one electrical so far, and by then they didn't even know they were asleep.
Are they
I was
detached from
still
it?
up. It was around 1 p.m. when the electricity. Well, so they're not even interested because right now I'm hearing rumbles, but I'm not hearing any screams. I can hear the volcano rumbling as we speak, but the children are not responding anymore. At the beginning, they were like, ooh, at the dust plumes and the clouds and such. But unless, like Marla said, they are the ones who are impacted because I had to evacuate. I had to uproot. I had to see a different place. I had to live in a different home. I had to be in a different environment. In fact, my first shelter that I got to was actually what was supposed to be the mental asylum. Maybe that had something to do with something now, but I don't know.
Maybe that's why you weren't behaving next
But
to
that
class.
was etched in my memory.
Dexter's going, that
heavily on my
explains it.
memory.
That explains it.
So children who are in the green zone. Now that's it. So children who are in the green zone, I doubt that their impact will be the way that those who are coming from the red zones would be. My children will hardly carry any memory from this, but there are those who you will ask them, how is it that you can remember? You were just a child. Being uprooted in the middle of the night, in the middle of your sleep, is something that will be etched on your memory.
Yeah.
I didn't get the psychological counseling that perhaps I needed, but as Marla said, there are counselors in all these schools, and they are going to be definitely not bad. I trust the process because I know that the Ministry of Education have a host of counselors. They do an awesome job. They have been tested many times. I remember the Rock got a tragedy. Marla, you may remember that. I didn't know we had amount of had so much counselors hitting the ground, talking to children, talking to students. And I that just go on as the settles, as the rumbling settles, which isn't going to be today.
No.
Interesting.
Wow.
Dexter, you're back now. You can.
Yeah, well, I'm not going back to that topic because
Clearly, you're being listened to.
I'll say maybe tweet about that later or something.
I do understand. I'm not superstitious, but this is beyond superstition. No, but Donnie made a point there. The reason the children don't remember, people don't forget trauma.
Yeah,
that's right.
Because I remember as a young man in '79, like I said, we were living in Kingston. We were living a very normal life. You know, an eruption was there. You know these people because the school is right next to my home in Stony Ground where I grew up. And so, there were I don't know if there's a camp there. My mother would leave every morning because my mother was helping out in the shelter, that kind of thing. But the cinemas were still operating. We were going to see movies at night. And like I said, there odd time, you remember feeling like sort of guilty. And our biggest fear sometimes, you would hear stories that the size of the volcano is so big that it can possibly split the country in two. And that was kind of traumatizing. The very thought of it.
Yes.
Now between 70, it didn't happen. So now this eruption was being announced. So the volcano was announcing its imminent eruption. Came easing, diffusing, and then they said, "Look, guys, this is it," and they gave us time. So it wouldn't be the same as Donnie said for a child who had to leave their home, and you sleep in a cot. I mean, because most people don't end up in homes, and the government has been trying to do it for a long time. Appeal to the kindness of Vincentians who would open their homes to people, because and the Prime Minister is talking about using hotels, using guest houses to put these persons. Because again, I remember '79. One serious criticism of the way things were handled back then was that a lot of persons donated things like food stuff and clothes and toys and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it is said that after the eruption had finished, a lot of the toys were never given to the children in the shelters.
Never got there. Never reached.
And then they were there because I know that some people felt that these things were too good for those people. Because that kind of mindset. And back then we had a very strong tongue country divide, which really doesn't exist anymore. Right. So Donnie would have been a country Wookiee. When you use a term like that.
He's not biting on that one.
But and has that been happening, Dexter, as far as the opening of homes in the south for friends and family up north? Has that been opening of homes been happening down south?
I believe a lot of it will be happening because, for instance, I've got a shelter right close to me, and I was in the city on Friday morning. And when my wife called and told me the volcano had erupted, I was in Kingston. So that's using Kingston as a safe zone, the green zone. I hadn't heard anything,
All right. Well,
wow.
So I stopped by the shelter. The person had been evacuated since the day before. And I stopped by the shelter and I said, look, do you guys need anything? And the manager of the shelter said, no, we don't need anything. And I was shocked that just so few persons were at that particular shelter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it tells me, and I didn't go around because I was trying not to cause more traffic congestion.
Yeah.
You know, because there's some person who wanted to go sightseeing, and I said, this is the time to be sightseeing.
Not that time.
You know, if I have no reason to be on the road, I don't want to be on the road.
No. So look, there's an interesting road ahead in terms of recovery. Even though we know we're still in the midst of the whole crisis, we know we're going to hear rumblings and ash coming for weeks and months, we've been told. Mm-hmm. But at some point, you have to start thinking about what is the recovery actually going to look like? And, you know, we talk about the kids there. And for a lot of the kids who experienced the 2021 explosion, the recovery is going to look very different to those who were in the 79. Because 2021 is trying to come out of COVID, come out of the explosion of the volcano. What are you guys feeling and thinking in regards to what the recovery might look like for St. Vincent and the Grenadines?
I sympathize with these children. They have been out of school more than they have been in since COVID was declared a pandemic last March.
Yeah.
And UNICEF actually did a bit of research recently, which revealed that the children actually want to be in school. They prefer face-to-face learning. They want to be in school. So too are the teachers. They prefer to deliver instruction face-to-face rather than online. And I often wonder about the students, especially the very young ones, their sense of structure. Because, you know, at a young age, you need structure. You need to, and I am not sure that the online environment actually gives them as much structure as if they actually go to school. So I sympathize with them, to be honest, the children, and the road ahead, we're going to have to think about there's a specific term. It's for those children who have lost, because we know that many of them either don't have access. It may be a problem of technological devices. It may be a problem, sadly, of access to electricity. It may be a problem of access to the internet. So many of them have been falling behind. And so in terms of the road to recovery, we're going to have to think about the recovery of learning. That's the term I was trying to remember, of how we can actually, what we can do, the strategies that we can use to allow these students to come up to par with the others. Because believe you me, some of them are flying ahead. The ones that are a little bit more privileged, you know? And so when we think of the road ahead, we ought to think about those students who are really, you know, falling behind, at least in terms of education.
Wow. Interesting point.
Yep.
I think even with Marla, I think even with an activity like this, an event like the volcano occurring, there's loads of opportunity for education as well. I myself have been educated a lot, just trying to read up and understand. Like last night, Andre and I, we were discussing why all the ash going over to Barbados, and when Dexter was saying that he doesn't
because
like
Dexter don't like me.
That's what I was trying to think.
He with a big fan, so like, go along.
You know, because of what we've learned in geography with the way the northeast trade winds go and so on, it seems illogical that it should head over east. But even just doing a bit more reading there, you start to understand there are different currents that operate at different levels of the atmosphere
and stuff,
and so on. So are there sort of opportunities for specialist event-driven education, so to speak, around this the explosion?
Well, if I may mention this, I mean, it's interesting you said that, because I think I established early on that Dr. Robertson developed his interest in volcanology as a young cadet in grammar school, working during the 1979 eruption.
Wow.
There you go. Okay.
He was a young man, maybe in fifth form or so, fifth form, and he never left. And today, I mean, because back then the person who was heading the UE seismic unit was one Dr. Keith Rowley.
Fascinating.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So you see the kinds of things, because I can imagine there will be more budding Dr. Robertsons
Yeah.
who would have been impacted by this,
Yeah.
and you will see a lot of persons studying this, and there are a lot of young people now doing things, just studying environmental science, environmental engineering, that kind of thing. And I mean, I don't envy the PMs. I don't envy the Prime Minister's responsibility, because already, I mean, just before the eruption, he made a statement where he was telling the public servants, in this thing is talking about where they have this head-on clash, that, like basically, to paraphrase, don't take it for granted that that we're going to find the $30 million to pay your salaries every month.
Right.
Exactly.
That's
I saw
right.
that. Yes.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
And
a
this
tough
volcano-
recovery ahead.
Oh
Absolutely.
yeah, this volcano is going to impact our economy tremendously.
Absolutely.
A lot of farmers. I mean, we're going to lose a lot of crops.
Yeah.
In '79, it was the banana industry that suffered badly. We have been trying to scramble since the loss of the banana industry, and trying to diversify and go into areas. All that is going to be given a terrible setback. I made a point earlier on that we depend on tourism, but tourism has been decimated by COVID.
Yeah.
And now this is going to have a further impact on it as well, even as you try to
Oh yes.
Yeah.
reestablish some of it as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got very serious challenges ahead of us. Very serious challenges. And one might say that the cynics might say, oh, the government going to get an injection of money. But who wants money with what you've lost?
True.
You can never get enough money.
That's a good
Because-
point,
Yeah, because what you're suffering, Marla mentioned the challenges of education, right? I mean, Thomas structure. My wife is a teacher, and I've been telling her I'm going to send her a bill for rent for using my house as a school. I hear her every day shouting, "You got it!" Kids are logging on. Those who log on would log on and not stay on. Log on and disappear, because the internet isn't strong enough for us to allow the teachers to be monitoring the students one-to-one.
Yeah.
So I hear my wife all day shouting, Marlon, are you in class? Donnie, are you in class? That kind of thing. Because the students are so savvy, tech savvy. They log on, you're there, and they go and do what they want to do. They go back to sleep.
Of course.
You mentioned, you were talking about the recovery there as well. Now, during the pandemic time and in other areas as well, CARICOM as an institution has had some hard times living up to the expectations of what people expect of them during certain times. However, during this period of time, in just a short few days of the crisis in St. Vincent, CARICOM and obviously and others and the folks in the institution has come in for some praise. I mean, I'm just wondering, how are you feeling about the outpouring and the response from the CARICOM neighbors to St. Vincent at this time? Anybody? Donnie, Rana, anyone?
Well, I wanted to get in on the response first. So I'll try to kill two birds with one stone, because I want to commend whoever put this team together, because the diversity of the comments will come from so much different backgrounds. Marla will speak to one end, and Uncle Dexter was about to speak to one end before he took it even further. The end I want to touch on is when we begin to count the cost, we are going to recognize that we are not going to recover the way we expect.
It's true.
When we say the word recover, as to what recover means, when we really begin to count the cost. Because I'm not sure if Uncle Dexter will remember, 1979 created landscapes for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We had villages that we never had before. The displacement of people became something that was permanent. When people left the danger zone, they were not quite happy and willing to go back. So new villages started, new settlements started. And I want to believe in the progress that we have made since 1979, we are not in a position to do informal human settlements at this stage. We cannot handle that kind of change because in human settlement will mean providing lands, providing housing, providing electricity, providing water, providing internet. In 1979, a man was quite happy with just saying, go build a shack and a shanty there. And he took the next year to build that out of pocket. We now have a generation of people because you uprooted me from where we live, you are going to have to provide housing for me. And I would like to choose what kind of accommodation I get. And I would like to choose where I go. And that's the kind of people we have. I am looking forward a couple of months from now to this kind of conversation. A year from now, when people who have been displaced is still saying, my roof in my wall in Georgetown collapsed. My business place was destroyed. My livelihood was all my cows. I lost all my goats. What am I going to do? What are you going to do for me? Recovery for the next couple of months is going to be a painful road. Yes, we have to recognize the children. Yes, we have to recognize the psyche of government and government agencies. But the impact that is going to have on the little man, individual impact, is going to be long and far-reaching. Yeah. And when we begin to count the cost, we're going to be counting the cost for the next 5 years.
Wow. Or longer.
True.
Yeah.
Oh, longer.
Yeah. I remember in 2016, I had an opportunity to visit a steel company in South Korea. And their sort of like their tagline is resources are limited, but creativity is unlimited. And I think going forward, we are going to have to be creative as a people, as individuals, as a government. I remember doing some research and the volcanic ash, for example, we have had yesterday, you guys laughed at me when I told you I was sweeping.
Your three patios.
Were you putting some in jars?
Exactly. So I am collecting volcanic ash because I have learned that volcanic ash is used in the creation of abrasive hand soaps, also in rubber erasers, some toothpaste and powder. So maybe I might just come up with a Vinci face powder for women.
There you go.
You know,
I think they actually they sell some face products as well, and they say it's volcanic ash or has it in it on all that kind of stuff. I think I've seen something like that.
If the ash is good for the soil, then it may very well be good for our faces. So you know, the point I'm making is that we have to think creatively as we move forward.
No, you're right. And there's a fellow.
2021
There's a fellow on this screen who wouldn't mind testing some of those face powders when you have them ready.
I won't know which one.
Not me.
I just had to get that in.
I'm not even going to respond to that.
No, but excuse me, guys. I remember someone made a statement that all the ash is going to Barbados. I'm not sure if it was Philip or Andre, but someone said that Philip it was, yes. All the ash going to Barbados. Now, I remember someone said to me that the Bajan sugarcane crop, the year after 79, Bajan got more cane that they planted. They planted 16 and they got 100.
You don't want royalties now, you know. You don't need
1980 was a blessed year.
Donnie, when we were backstage, I told these three Bajan guys
when the Bajans brag about their bumper crop and their Mongerum and all the nice stuff, you're enjoying the fruits of
so you want royalties is what you're saying.
Yeah, we
can send you me a number. You can have it over here.
we gotta watch what St. Vincent might be bringing to CARICOM, because they might be trying to come forward with, want some money from all this ash. Ash for cash.
Can you ash for cash?
I told you guys back then.
Inputs are always important.
Of course.
Inputs are important at productivity. Inputs. Hey. And if the inputs happen to be volcanic ash at the beginning.
I told those guys off camera that we're going to build Barbados for the ash, for the extra topsoil and fertilizer they're getting.
Yeah,
I got the spirit of CARICOM, unity.
Yep.
And
they save a ton of money in the shipping.
All about CARICOM. You can speak to her, and I'm sure she'll do something.
Yeah. Oh. No, but talking about CARICOM also, it was, and I saw the Prime Minister get very emotional when he spoke about the response that sister Caribbean countries, have been making offers, to take people, that's why, like you said, we have the cruise ships in harbor in the event that we need to be moved. I mean, it is a great gesture, and it is a showing, because I tend to always remind people that sometimes we were in the Caribbean, well, ironically, sometimes more united during the colonial period, not they want to be in the colonial period, than when we began to become independent. When we start foolishly taking the independence thing too far, and we're beginning to think that we are different from each other. I'm a Barbadian, I'm a Vincentian, I'm a Grenadian, and we start calling each other foreigners and all this kind of thing. That kind of negative mindset that has to disappear. And because I think Caribbean people, when you forget people at governmental level who couldn't let their egos go ahead of them, Caribbean people are not any different. When we go to study, when we go to UE, any university we go to, people just say, "Oh, the Caribbean people, them West Indians," them West Indians. They don't say,
True.
Yeah,
True.
And if they say the Bajan and the Vinci, because like you're saying, the guy from St. Philip and the guy from Bridgetown, that kind of, we really want people. So we have, going forward, the CSME has been slow and it has been criticized a whole lot, and you can do a whole lot more. And but I think there's a spirit there still of understanding, accepting that we are one people, and this going forward we have to do it together. I had the experience, guys. I had the experience of working as a diplomat, and I remember working in Havana with the Caribbean Corps. And sometimes we want to look for products which we can sell to Cuba. Cuba's 11.5 million persons, and very often we had problems where no one little producer of, say, peanuts and the cottage industries can satisfy a serious market. Because people want markets where you can fill containers on a regular basis. Nobody wants you to come and tell you, I have 3 boxes of peanuts and maybe when they get some next 2 months. No, if you're satisfying the market, going forward again, we're talking about tourism, and when hopefully, because COVID, I don't see COVID going anywhere soon. I think that we're in mass being a long-term thing, but when we go forward, we really would need to go forward together as nations, within St. Vincent. This is my message of Vincentians. We need to go forward together. Our democracy allows us to have multi-party elections, but there's a time when one party wins and another one loses, and we got to be able to criticize each other, but knowing that we working together. My hymn book might look slightly different from your hymn book, but it's got to be one heaven we're trying to go to.
We have a mantra here in the living room and for We Global where we talk about making the Caribbean smaller. Indeed. And that is what we want to do. We started today, if I'm honest, feeling quite heavy, because when you're out of the Caribbean and you're looking in and you're seeing things that are breaking your heart, you just feel heavy. You just don't know what to do. But listening to you guys who are in the heart of the experience talk has been so encouraging, even though you are there. But it's really given me personally a lift. So thank you so much for that.
Mm-hmm.
No, 100%.
Thanks to you for allowing us the opportunity. You know,
No,
to
anytime
share
at
our
all.
word. You know.
No, absolutely. So look, let's you said a word for Vincentians there just now, Dexter.
Yep.
So let's go around the loop and let's bring it home. So I'll start with you, Donnie. What's the word for not just
I
Vincentians
was
but
going to say the
the
Caribbean.
wider
Yes.
Eastern Caribbean and even further across the region as we go through this really difficult
And
season.
even before we get there, Mark, just 1 second. Is there? I know obviously that lots of donations and stuff are coming in. Is there a one place where people can do that, or I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I'm not sure if there's a link or anything like that, but we'll find it. I saw someone asking that a little bit earlier, so we'll find it and put it on our page as well. I don't know if there's one in St. Vincent specifically, or if it's set up by individual countries. It probably is.
Well, for us here in the UK, there are multiple locations at the moment, and again, we will put that on our page later on, so people can engage with the various areas where they can, support the cause and help St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So we'll make sure to part that on the page so you can further engage with it, and
Exactly.
let's get in there. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Let's go around.
All right, Donnie, a word for your fellow comrades and people across the Caribbean.
My word will be remember. One word, remember. Because you see, when we remember, we will remember that we are a strong people.
Yeah.
We will remember that every island experienced their trauma, their pain, their distress. I remember Grenada when Ivan struck. And we as a region, we came together, we stepped up, we delivered love, we delivered food, we delivered counsel, we delivered direction, we delivered humanitarian assistance. We as a region, I would not say St. Vincent did, I would say as a region, we did. We
Yeah.
came together. I remember Jamaica. I remember St. Lucia had issues. Every nation in this region had
Wow.
their painful moment. Whether it was a tragic bus accident, lives. I still remember a bus accident in St. Lucia coming from a funeral. I mean, these are things that I experience because I'm in the media. I have to read them and they affect me, they stay with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember whenever these things happen, the region responds. So, brothers and sisters, remember that in time of need, in time of trouble, we are all our brothers, but we are all brothers and sisters. Just remember what we do when these times happen. And they can happen today for me. My granny used to say today for me, tomorrow for you. It's not a warning, it's not a threat. It's a reality that whenever these things happen, we as a region come together. So let's just remember to be
Fantastic.
our brother's keeper.
Yeah, fantastic. Good
Yeah.
word. Good word.
Wow.
Marla?
Yes, well, I would echo the message that Nemo has been sending, at least the most recent one. We have learned that our biggest problem right now, despite what many people feel, is not the rumbling, it's not the lightning, it's not the pyroclastic flows, it is the ash. So I will echo what Nemo has been saying. Let's protect ourselves from the volcanic ash. Let's keep our doors and windows closed. Remember to wear your mask or a damp cloth to protect your eyes and your throat. Persons with respiratory illnesses or problems like bronchitis and asthma and so on, you have to remember to stay inside to avoid the inhalation and avoid unnecessary exposure. And to our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean, there's a saying: tomorrow for me, today for me, and tomorrow for you. You know, and the camaraderie that we have always experienced is important now more than ever. There's so much that you can do. I know that St. Lucia, Barbados have opened up their doors to welcome Vincentians I think Grenada too. I know that there are many materials, many things, supplies that we are in need of right now. So if you are able to donate collapsible water tanks, for example, for water storage, or perhaps water tanks for water trucking, containers, chlorine drums for water treatment. These are besides the regular things like, clothes and food, water, books for children, games, things to keep them meaningfully occupied while they're in the centers. So let's just do all that we can as a Caribbean people. This is what we do best, look out for one another, and we'll appreciate that greatly. It was a pleasure for me to be here in the living room. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Pleasure having you.
Of course.
And Uncle Dexter, as you've been affectionately being called
Come
now.
on, come on, Uncle. Final word is yours.
Heavy responsibility and nothing earth-shattering. I'm not going to say anything controversial because you guys cutting me off every time I say
It is not us. It is not us. Honestly, it is not us.
I learned long time you never trust a Bajan man, but that's okay.
Oh, I see.
That's another show. That's another show. That's another show. You just give me a word now, boy.
No, guys, I mean, I must express my thanks to you all for inviting us here so we can say a word on behalf of our country, so we can help the world to understand what we're going through, and because it's not easy. Well, we're smiling here, and so it's not easy. And when I'm sitting here, I look to my left and I see that it's been raining a bit, and that is sort of pleasing because it keeps the ash down. It keeps the ash down. But this is one time you're seeing rain and you're glad to see rain. And I wish more would come. I just wish it would rain more. You know. I want to thank all our Caribbean brothers and sisters, government and people who've been so magnanimous, who've opened their hearts, to us. I believe NEMO, our National Emergency Management Organization, will probably have a list of the items they need, and I know I see all over. I see in Fort Lauderdale, I see in Brooklyn, I see in Toronto that persons are gathering things. So very often in times like these, you get people donating. People want to donate a lot of clothes, but sometimes I think people should check with our consulates in those places to find out what your real needs are. You know.
Yeah.
And it like once again, it's great to see the spirit of love and brotherliness. Black Stallion said it best, the Caribbean man from the same, we came on the same ship. We came in the same ship. We just deposited in different plantations, and we are one people, and we can work together. Our futures must be linked. We are too small. Sometimes when I heard people Jamaicans used to back then. Jamaicans have gone past that, calling people small islanders and equating it with a small mind. I mean, we've gone past that, because you guys know you live in the UK, and the volcano is telling people that St. Vincent exists, that kind of way, positive part of it. But we are one people. We got a lot we can do together, and that should be the spirit always. I saw somebody send a message there, and the word the person said is resilience. We got to be resilient. We are resilient people. We would get through this together. For Vincentians at home, I'm telling them, those few who want to be bickering about how things should have gone, the Monday morning quarterbacking doesn't get you anywhere in the midst of a crisis. We got to go together, go forward together. Wow. We are better together. We are stronger together, and we're gonna get through this. We're gonna get through this.
Oh, fantastic word, fantastic word. Well, I for one really do wish everyone in St. Vincent well, because I want to get down there to get back up Bum Bum Hill. I know the place. And
Bum Bum Hill is right close to me.
It's right close to Bum Bum Hill. I know Bum Bum Hill, man.
So where you cooking when we come? Where you cooking when we come, man? Where you cooking?
I know, Bum. I know the place. I know the place. Obviously, Barbados aside.
That might be the only
please,
place you know,
No, man. I know Glen. I've been up Glen. I know out when you're passing through Glen, there's a little place up there they call Lebanon when you're passing through to get up to Glen. I know the place.
He knows St. Vincent, man. He knows St. Vincent.
Hey, you tell the cause of
You
business.
What do you mean? All right.
Listen, hey, don't worry about that, man. I know the place. Barbados aside, St. Vincent is my favorite place to go in the Caribbean. And that, I'm not saying that because we're talking about it now. It is actually true. I say it all the time. St. Vincent, number one place to chill out. Best place to be. Best place to be. But we know the place good, man. We know the place good. I sing at wedding and thing down there, you know.
Hey.
I missed you 2 years ago.
I just saying.
Oh, Lord, have mercy.
Guys, it's been fantastic having you on. To everyone who's been in the audience as well, let's do what we always do and thank our guests for being a part of the show. If this is your first time being here as well, hit like or, follow us on Facebook, follow us on YouTube as well. This is what we do. We have Caribbean conversations every Sunday, 3 o'clock in the Caribbean, 2 o'clock if you're in Jamaica. And this is what we do all the time. So follow us so we can have these good Caribbean conversations. Hit share as well so that other people can watch this back. It's going to be on the internet forever. But thank our guests for being part of the show today and letting us know what's happening in St. Vincent, how they're doing, how their families are doing, and their needs and the sentiment of the people. It's been an awesome conversation, guys. I just want to say thank you guys.
Yeah. Thank you so much, man. Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
It's been great. Fantastic. Okay. Ooh, that was a good show, guys.
But around St. Vincent, you barely know two places around here talking.
Glen.
We know,
man. I know out Lebanon and thing. How you mean? Kingston. I sit down and watch all over the place. I know the place good.
Man, you can't hear Arnottsville and let you go. He ain't even know if I go.
Walk up there for all down there, man. I know down there. I know the place
that was
good.
awesome, though. That was really. I mean, You know that there's a lot of heaviness there. There's a lot of difficulty, but I think the way those guys were able to just talk about it and just be so authentic with how they're feeling was really encouraging to just listen and observe. Man, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think on quite early on, I think it might have been Dexter that talked about the Caribbean mentality of smiling through the storm, and I think that came over there a lot. And it's part of our resilience.
That's
being
us.
able to smile, but not belittling a situation.
No,
or not thinking there's no harm out there, or it's not something to really give serious thought to. But yeah, that's definitely a very deep character of the Caribbean that we need.
And
to
I think
maintain.
sometimes it's misunderstood by people on the outside.
Yeah, for sure.
Because guys, when we traveled about a lot when we were younger, people couldn't understand how we were always.
Why y'all laughing so much?
Oh, you laugh all the time. Even your breakdown.
Every skin teeth in a laugh.
Exactly. It's just the way how we are. We just authentic people that just love laughter. That's how we approach situations. And it does not say that we don't take things seriously. We do. We take things very seriously. We just deal with it and get through it in our way, and that's definitely shown in the way of how we having the conversation with people in St. Vincent. Even from all the other stuff I've seen on social media as well. Yes, it's a traumatic experience. People are just being resilient and plowing through,
Yeah.
And that's good to see.
For sure. And before you do your shout outs, can I just put this back up? Because I think I saw her coming a little bit late in the show. So, Didi, thank you so much, man. You're one of our top fans this week. So you weren't in earlier, so I hope you're having a great day.
Indeed. I saw her there. So I saw her there being her usual and keeping the conversation going. So thank you, Didi.
Hey, look you there.
And the beaches, yes. The beach off Young Island where the sand is pretty dark. Wait, you think I don't know the place?
The beach off.
Wait, name.
Yes.
Wait, name.
She tried to check me out, but she didn't know me, man. I know. I know
How much iguana you eat?
I know, no. I ain't about that there.
Okay.
We drink enough vitamin, so we met the St. Vincent.
Enough
Right?
Vitamark.
Oh, Lord.
Went to the
Yes,
shop
man.
up in the topping Glen, round the corner there, and had some good callaloo. Man, I know
Callaloo.
the place, man. I know the place. But look, everyone who's been there, thank you so much. So many people to shout out. Didi, as usual, thank you so much. Carol, Graham, thank you. Theo, Verona Sandyford, so I thank you. Kimberly Mahon, thank you very much. El May, you're always in. Thank you for always joining us. Glennis, thank you very much. Whole bunch of people. Anne Blackman, Katie Joseph, I saw you there as well. And Louise John, and a whole bunch of new people as well. Michelle Grigg, and a whole bunch of new people watching from St. Vincent. Thank you so much. And if guys in St. Vincent, stay safe, follow all the rules, the protocols, listen to Nemo and to your Prime Minister as well. Above all, everything.
Professor
Stay
Robertson.
safe during this time, because it's not just the volcano you're dealing with, we're still in the middle of a pandemic as well. So we got to just make sure that we follow those protocols as much as we can still. Look, thank you so much, guys. Next week, we have a great show lineup for you. You do not want to miss that. I ain't gonna tell you all what it is, but you do. We can put out some drips over the week about what it is, but you do not want to miss that. Definitely do not. But look, thanks, guys. Final word, Mark.
See ya, Bum Bum Hill, man.
Bum Bum Hill. Phil.
See at the beach cross from Young Beach.
What it name?
I know it. I don't know it name, but I know it. I know it. Everyone, have a fantastic week. You know, Barbados, stay safe with the ash as well. St. Vincent, stay safe. Rest of the Caribbean, stay safe as well when you're dealing with a pandemic. Until next time.
I know the place.
God.
I know the place.
I know the place.